Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on Kare 11 News Now. I'm Raya Katane. In Hopkins, we're following breaking news of 2 adults and a child dead after what police are calling a domestic incident at an in-home daycare. This happened at around 9 o'clock this morning on Tyler Avenue North at Brown Bear Child Care. Authorities say a man, a woman, and their child were all found dead. Police say there were 6 other children in that daycare when they arrived, and they were able to reunite them with their parents. Officials believe that this man in the incident is the one responsible for the deaths and appears to have taken his own life. Hopkins Police Chief Brent Johnson and Mayor Patrick Hanlon both calling this a tragedy.
Yeah, I mean, there's no worse scenario than this, where you drop off your child to somewhere you think is safe and you get that phone call. I think we can all relate, who have children and those who don't, that this is just a tragic situation anywhere in the world, let alone here in Hopkins. And again, this is a rarity, and we will continue to investigate it.
This community is reeling. It's a small community. We're only 20,000 people, but we operate as a small community, and everyone knows each other. There are no strangers in this community, so we are all reeling with this information right now as a community, and so grateful for the different departments that have come out from across the West Metro here and immediately to lend a hand in this situation. So just grateful for the police work that's going on right now and reeling from a really tragic incident.
Right now, investigators believe the people who were found dead are the owners of this daycare. We are expecting to get another update later this afternoon, and we'll of course continue to have the latest on this situation on Kare 11 News Now. New this afternoon, if you live in Minneapolis, you can expect a jump in your property taxes. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey unveiling his 2027 budget for the city, increasing the tax levy by 11.3%, which Frey says is actually down from his original plan of 13%. He says that will add up to an increase of $34 per month for the average Minneapolis homeowner. Now, the budget also proposes cutting 100 city government jobs, and the city is facing a budget gap of $33 million.
And I know these decisions will not be universally popular. In fact, I'm certain that the 2 biggest critiques of this budget will be that cuts are too deep or that they aren't deep enough.
The mayor's budget proposal now heads to the city council for approval, and we do expect council members to respond this afternoon, and we'll of course bring you the latest on air and streaming on the Kare 11 app. Well, this afternoon, we are digging into last night's primary results and the races shaping the general election in the fall. First, let's take a look at the results in the race for governor. In November, Minnesota will elect its first woman for that position. U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar taking the DFL ticket by a landslide with 89% of the vote. And on the GOP side, House Speaker Lisa Demuth is the winner with 43% of the vote. MyPillow founder Mike Lindell, however, says he's not conceding after results showed that he earned 32% of votes. Now in the race for U.S. Senate, Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan beat Congresswoman Angie Craig for the Democratic nomination. That came in at 59 to 39%. And on the Republican side, former sports broadcaster Michelle Tafoya won with 52% of the vote. Megan McPherson is at the live desk tracking the responses to that race.
Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan winning the DFL nomination over Congresswoman Angie Craig by nearly 20 percentage points, despite Craig significantly outspending her. This race highlighted a divide within the Democratic Party, with Flanagan backed by progressives like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. But on the Republican side, it's a historic result, the first time the party's endorsed U.S. Senate candidate has lost its primary. Former sportscaster Michelle Tafoya beating party-endorsed candidate Adam Schwarzy by more than 100,000 votes. After that race was called, Tafoya pointed to fraud, falling school scores, and crime, saying that it's time to send career politicians home, while Flanagan is framing this general election as a choice between Minnesota's interests and President Donald Trump's agenda.
They have brought us to the land of fraud. They have brought us to the place where our school scores are dropping. They have brought us to the place where crime is front and center on everyone's mind. This has all happened under their watch while they were in power. And so it is time to send them home, and it is time to have accountability, and it is time to try something new.
Minnesota can send another Donald Trump yes sir senator to do his bidding, Or we can insist on change and send someone who will always put Minnesota first.
Now, we are also tracking the extremely close primary race for governor in Wisconsin, stretching into the early hours of the morning. On the Democratic side, Milwaukee County Executive David Crawley is the projected winner with 40% of the vote. State Representative Francesca Hong, a Democratic socialist, with 39%. 3,700 votes is the difference there. Crawley will take on U.S. Representative Tom Tiffany, backed by President Trump, who easily won the Republican primary with 95% of the vote. We now know that a firefighter has died while battling the wildfires in the Boundary Waters. The victim is a contracted firefighter from Alaska. The U.S. Forest Service says crews responded to a medical emergency just before 11 o'clock yesterday morning near Ely. They say the firefighter was taken to a medical facility but later died. Now, officials are waiting to identify that firefighter until they notify family. And starting today, a major policy shift for ICE officers, now required to wear body cameras. Officers will first get trained on how to use them. All ICE agents are expected to start using those cameras by the end of the month, and they must have them on and recording during any operations and arrests. We're also learning that ICE is planning to buy electrical shock gloves for its agents. They're called Generated Low Output Voltage Emitters, or CTG5 gloves. The Department of Homeland Security says the gloves will cost between $10 and $20 million, and they could be ready to use by the end of March. The company that makes the gloves says they emit a maximum of 380 volts. Now, that is a lot fewer than most tasers, but OSHA considers anything above 50 volts as hazardous. Federal officials say the gloves will be an effective de-escalation device, but opponents say they are a method of inflicting cruelty. This afternoon, more Minnesota communities are deciding flock cameras simply are not worth the divisiveness. Here's Ian Russell.
What felt as common as the cars driving by now sits empty. Technology taken down as conversations around flock cameras continue. West St. Paul city manager deciding to suspend the city's trial contract with Flock. City manager Nate Burkett saying that public trust and understanding simply isn't there yet, and the tool is not worth using, adding, quote, "We tried it, we learned from it, and this is the right call for West St. Paul right now." Multiple cities have decided to also cancel their contracts with Flock. Columbia Heights did that back in June. Duluth police say the department will not renew their contract. And north of the metro,
I just can't justify moving forward with it at this point.
Isanti County Sheriff Wayne Cyberlick says their Flock contract will end after just 4 months, adding that his short-staffed department can't make them work.
We've used it effectively, we just can't use it as effectively as we'd like to. We have 452 square miles that we're patrolling with 3 deputies at a time. And when you're getting 236 Flock alerts a day, we simply can't keep up with that volume.
Cyberlick says he understands the public's concerns with data privacy and sharing, but says there's been no evidence of that happening within his department.
A lot of the concerns, and again, we're listening, but we just couldn't show that they were real.
The cameras would have cost roughly $24,000 after this trial, something the sheriff says they simply could not justify.
If people want to trust us as stewards of the taxpayer dollar, is this worth the investment? And right now, I just can't say in totality that for Isanti County, it's worth the investment.
Now, Cyberlick says ending this contract does not mean that Flock cameras will not be reconsidered in the future, although it would be more expensive to put those cameras back up now that they've been removed. A Flock spokesperson tells us the company respects each city or county's decision, adding that when those cameras are removed, quote, public safety moves backwards. That statement goes on to say there have been more cities partnering with Flock than those who are deciding to stop, adding that the technology deserves, quote, thoughtful public discussion and community engagement. We are live at the White House this afternoon, where President Trump is facing another legal setback in his push to reshape election rules. A federal judge ruled Trump's executive order on mail-in ballots violated the Constitution. The president had directed states to add automated ballot tracking barcodes to envelopes, as well as send a list of voters to the Postal Service. 23 Democratic-led states are also fighting the order. Trump has filed an emergency appeal in that case. Also today, President Trump confirming a security threat was the reason behind his secret change of travel plans last month. Several news outlets reported the president secretly switched planes when he traveled back from Turkey in July. Trump initially boarded the old Air Force One before being taken off the plane and going into a catering truck, flying out of Turkey in a smaller plane. NBC News is reporting the switch was tied to a potential Iranian plot to kill Trump. The White House has not confirmed the exact reason. We'll take a look at this video out of Chicago and northwest Indiana, where cleanup efforts are underway after severe storms Tuesday morning. You can see a trail of destruction after storms brought 90-mile-per-hour winds Tuesday morning, damaging buildings, taking down trees, and even closing some schools. The National Weather Service now confirming at least 3 EF1 level tornadoes in the Chicago area. Hundreds of thousands of people were left without power in both Illinois and Indiana. Now, the strong storm system, preliminary confirmed as a derecho, is the first the area has seen in 6 years. Stick with us. We have more news and weather coming up after the break.